Welcome to On the Ascent Health. We are back with Kylie Viens, registered dietitian, to finish up our conversation from last time. Kylie and I had a great discussion and it went on a little long. So we are here to finish up. We are talking about food prepping, whether or not that is something that everyone can do. I know for me, it really, even the sound of it, intimidates me, but I'm often left at the end of the day wondering what to cook for dinner, and I definitely struggle packing food or having food for myself for lunches at the office. So we're going to talk about that, the upcoming holidays, and then some more of Kylie's personal tips and her favorite foods. So join us for the rest of this conversation.
What are the options, kind of like what to think about going out to eat? Like, do I stay strict? I should just order this, this, and this, or I'm out with friends, I should let go of it, I should enjoy. Like, there's probably different ways to approach going out to eat.
Yeah, for sure. One of the notes I made on this is really going to be, again, dependent on the client, because if like you're working with, say, like a pilot who's on the road for half the year, it may not.
They're going to go out to eat a lot more.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it may make sense for them to make those healthful swaps when they're able to, or seek out more healthful options when they're on the road. But if you're the occasional, I'm going to go out to eat once a week, right?
Or once a month.
Yeah, once a month. Then I think sort of like looking at the big picture in that way, because depending on your options and your food preferences, it may or may not make sense to make those swaps. I never think it's like a bad idea, but it's also like, if you're trying to toss the idea of like, do I order French fries or get a side salad? And if you're really feeling like French fries and it's, a mindful amount, then there's, I think
does
that's
any
the
place
difference.
actually serve a mindful amount of French
That's
fries?
a good point.
No, I don't think they do,
but if you're sharing a meal or something, yeah. So things along those lines. And yeah, I just actually had a client ask me this question. She was sort of like wanting to pick my brain recently about like, what do you do when you eat out? We sort of have some birthday celebrations coming up and things like that. But what she found for her that was helpful is really not going into that meal at the restaurant overly hungry. Really helped her like be able to enjoy the foods there, but not overdo it as well. So kind of setting yourself up in that way too can be helpful. But she still ordered her favorite foods there. So I think that was really important.
And if you like leftovers, you get to take it home.
Yeah.
So I'm always excited to I'll order that like double tall burger, but like I can eat half of it and I get half of it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's my work, right?
Yeah.
What are some of your like kind of go-to anchor meals, snacks, things that you use that make you feel energized, make you feel good?
Yeah, I'll like start with prefacing that I really like to find balance in each meal and snack. So again, trying to like choose quality foods when I can, but also meal timing is huge, which I'll talk about here in a second. But for instance, today, like I actually did not used to like oatmeal, but I found a way to make it like taste really yummy and me like thoroughly enjoy it. Even my kids like want to steal it from me. So it's something that I can take on the go as well. So yeah, staples I mentioned like with leftovers at my lunchtime. And I think dinner can like be like all over the place. I know I've shared I have a 2 and 4-year-old. So like trying to incorporate their preferences, but also expose them to different like new recipes my husband and I like trying and making sure that, just introduce them to those new foods as well. Recent snacks for me are like a string cheese and an apple or some Greek yogurt and granola, something along that. I mean, I enjoy eating that way, so it's like not a big deal, but let's see here. Going back to like, dinners are sort of all over the place. And I feel like everybody who like kind of tells me like what they eat kind of find that true for themselves as well.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not abnormal or whatever. But I feel like kind of that whole meal timing thing that I was mentioning is really setting myself up for success going into the next meal. Snacks could be really helpful with that. So you're not like just hangry, right?
Right.
It's not that the fact that you don't have like willpower, but like when you're really, really hungry,
you don't actually have as much willpower.
Yeah, exactly. So
your brain doesn't work as well. Like pretty good evidence on hunger actually. Like your brain doesn't process as well.
Yeah, it's just like whatever's in sight. So I think that all goes back to a little bit of what we were talking about, meal planning or meal prepping, whatever that looks like for you, right? Having a plan, knowing your options, just making that like eating a priority. I think that's sort of like intentional eating, right? Sort of all kind of goes into this like, not like eating the same thing every day as far as having anchor meals and things like that. I would say it's more variety to keep it fun. And
do you have good variety in your meals?
Yeah, I definitely say.
I feel like we don't.
I mean,
I feel like it's taco night again. I love taco night.
Oh yeah, I can eat Mexican most days of the week.
Yeah.
But it might like look different, but as far they may not want all like the veggies that go with it, but they're having a cheese quesadilla.
Yeah.
Or depending on, each of them kind of like different things, but spaghetti nights, like, pretty popular with kids that age. So we're having a salad or some sort of
My daughter
veggie.
doesn't like noodles. I've
Really?
never met a kid that, like, doesn't like noodles, and she's just like she'll eat them occasionally, like maybe macaroni and cheese, but she otherwise like is not interested in noodles. I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, that's funny. I
So
experienced the opposite where my kids love pasta, but like rice and potatoes aren't their favorite.
okay,
But just making, for that age group, kind of making substitutions within the food group.
right, yeah, it's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about like a lot about food and health. How about food and mood? Like
Mm.
food both affects our mood, and mood affects like our food and our food choices. What
Mhm.
can you like?
Yeah. So how I view food, I view it as medicine. So just like, here's an analogy, like our airplane needs avgas, right? Our bodies thrive off the right type and the right amount of food or fuel, right? And we're not just feeding our physical bodies, our brains happen to be connected. So we're feeding our mental health too. I think like an example of this would be like working with somebody who, in the past who have had like high amount of anxiety. And so they're really not like, it's like a catch-22. They're not eating maybe much food at all. And if when they do eat, it's probably not the most like helpful option. But then like that doesn't help the anxiety, right? And then like vice versa. Having
spiking the blood sugar and then their heart's beating faster or it's dropping real low and
yeah, and not making the mood any better because we're not like energized. So I feel like that's an example that I thought of.
or caffeine and anxiety. I don't have anxiety. I don't think I have anxiety. I definitely have like a personality that probably doesn't need a lot of caffeine. Like I'm already energetic, but also I love caffeine. Realizing like, but I know plenty of people who like they have anxiety and then they also love caffeine because coffee's great. And then they're like, and then I get even more nervous and I get more jittery.
Yeah, and caffeine impacts everybody differently, but how it can exacerbate or make it worse for you on the anxiety sides, just being mindful of that and knowing that about yourself is probably a good thing.
And then isn't there like I've heard like, was it like red meat supposed to, and you tell me if this is like true or whatever, supposed to like stimulate the like more parasympathetic system, like slows down maybe because it takes more work to like rest and digest, right? Like different foods kind of stimulate you different. I mean, right, sugar's gonna, potentially spike you more.
Yeah.
Give you immediate energy.
Yeah, I don't know like the answer to like red meat specifically, but it makes sense that like your body's not like just digesting like proteins and fats like immediately like they would like a simple sugar. So that makes sense that maybe, there's a different impact on your body or whatnot just because of like the digestion in itself.
We had a friend in Wyoming who very much like ate to like set his mood. He's like, I'm having this because I'm gonna go do this tonight.
Yeah.
Which like I have not thought about.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. Like depending, like say some like activity you're gonna go do, you're gonna eat in a certain way, hopefully, because you know how it's gonna impact you. So I would say that makes sense. It's gonna impact your mood as well as like your physical body.
And then how else like food affecting mood? What do you see like if we?
Yeah, I was trying to think of other ideas or like kind of examples of that. I mean, I know I feel better when I eat better. I mean, people say that all the time.
Right.
They just like, I don't feel great, or like I'll pick on McDonald's. It's like, they're like their stomach doesn't feel great after, and there's definitely like the brain and gut connection. There's like that is not new news, and so, yeah, I'm trying to think of like other ideas along those lines.
Let's talk about like stress and how stress affects what we eat and like stress eating or the stress cycle.
So like I think the first thing is realizing maybe like why if we're eating out of stress. Is that sort of where you're going?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I think this depends on the person. Ideally, we'd be addressing like the root cause of like why we're eating, whether it's out of boredom or stress or sad or whatever.
How do you know? Like, great, your body probably it thinks it's hungry, but how do you realize like, oh, actually, I'm just stressed, or oh, actually, I'm just sad?
Yeah.
These are not strict, right? These are not dietitian questions I'm asking.
Yeah, usually people like, if they're maybe potentially like wanting to address it, they kind of acknowledge like, okay, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm not truly hungry. I'm eating out of emotion.
Right.
So yeah. And what could we do? Like, there's been times it's like, okay, can we make a list of things we can do that can distract us from eating? So is it calling a friend? Is it going for a walk? I had a client recently tell me, I was like, what'd you do to pull you out of that emotional eating? And she says, I just did other distractions. I had other house chores to do.
Yeah.
So just more helpful things, right, that we can do to not eat emotionally. But I would also note that it's not probably abnormal, right?
Yeah.
That we sometimes emotional eat, because we can eat when we're happy and, like in group social settings, like, we
Right.
kind of get caught up in the moment. So, but if we notice that like it is an issue, then I think that's where addressing it would be important. Trying to see like whether notes another example that I've had where clients felt like they were emotional eating, but we found that they actually weren't fueling their bodies adequately. And so like when another emotion surfaced, then they went to eating, but to able to address that, we were able to get to like timely meals and snacks throughout the day. So if something did surface, it's like, it wasn't like that they were starving already and that triggered like eating in addition to an emotion. So sometimes like simple changes like that have a huge impact on like, having a little bit of structure with your day as well can really be beneficial. Yeah.
And did you work with people on like stress management as well?
Yeah, I would say
It's interesting because the same things that affect like diet and diet choices like affects like chiropractic, right? How people heal, their sleep affects it, their diet affects it, their mindset, their stress levels. And I feel like in my visits in the office, I don't have time to like cover all of those other bases, which are so important in
Right.
healing. And I don't know if you have time to do all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it depends on what the scenario is, because I definitely don't want to like stepping out of my scope of
Right.
some sort to provide a therapy that I can't provide. And sometimes you bring that up and like, hey, I really think you need, somebody else to help you with this. I don't think it's any different from me telling somebody, hey, I would like you to connect with like an exercise specialist, of somebody, a trainer, somebody to help you take your exercise to the next level. Like we could talk about things, but sometimes just a meeting with somebody one-on-one, just like they're talking to me about the nutrition aspect of it, and take that to a different level, get them, more inspired and like, maybe less scared of wherever they like to work out to. I think that plays a role. But yeah, I think just having that like other person in the picture could also be just another support person. Yeah.
So when should, this is now coming from like my perspective, when should somebody see a dietitian, or for our listeners
Right.
too? Like I said, I don't like to tell people what to eat or talk, like it's out of my scope.
Yeah.
Like, I love diet. I think it's fascinating, but
Yeah.
I'm not good at communicating it to
Yeah.
other people. So when would somebody come see a dietitian?
Yeah, I think as a dietitian, I'm a little biased in thinking like you don't have to have a problem to come see one of us. I understand that pain points obviously promote change and things like that. But I would say like anybody who wants to increase their energy, improve their energy, maintain weight, that's obviously a big one that we see people wanting help with. If we want to prevent a chronic condition like high blood pressure, cholesterol, or diabetes, things along those lines, or if they just want to like feel more confident in the way that they're feeling their bodies. Those are just examples, but I don't think you have to have something like, you don't have to be diagnosed with diabetes, for example, to be like, hey, I want to talk to you. Like you could be at risk for diabetes right now. And it's like, hey, let's reverse that.
Right.
That you could still live a healthy, happy life with diabetes. But before it gets to that point, what are we doing,
Yeah.
So I think you're looking at it as a preventative, way of taking care of ourselves.
All right, we're going long, so I'm going to come up with
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple more questions.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
just talk the holiday season's coming up. What are some strategies for that? Because there's lots of delicious foods.
Yeah, I would say like it's sort of like the birthdays, the holidays. We have multiple of them a year, but they pop up. I mean, Christmas is once a year, Thanksgiving, whatever you celebrate. But it's not beating ourselves up. I would say it's not enjoying some of your favorite foods. I think it can go back to like
having eggnog lattes every day between now and
Christmas,
February.
Yeah.
A lot of sugar.
Yeah. Moderation. And if we have that healthy relationship with food, so kind of going back to that as being a key factor here, then that could be, that can make it easier. It's like, oh, just because the brownies are sitting there doesn't mean like I want one.
Yeah.
I mean, it can make the difference of whether we have one, just the fact that they're sitting there. But yeah, so whatever that is for somebody, whatever they like to indulge in, I'm definitely not going to say like, I would never say like don't do it. It's just like, can we be more moderate about it? Or like, maybe some things, depending on what somebody's health goals are, they might be willing to like make some swaps or, portion control a little bit, things like that. But it doesn't mean that we can't engage in it. It's like, for instance, somebody's like going on vacation. I've heard this before. Where like, when I get back, I'll start.
Right.
And it's like, life is happening. We shouldn't have to like pause our health or like some of our habits for things that pop up. Things are always going to pop up.
Right.
It's sort of how to navigate that, right? I would say exercise could be a huge piece. Staying active, doing more with like family members or friends or whatever brings you joy during the holidays too. That can help like with the waistline.
Right. Yeah. Kind of focusing on the other great parts too of the
Mm-hmm.
holidays. For you personally, why is it important for you to stay healthy as you age? Like, why is it important for you to, eat smart and get exercise?
Yeah, I really like appreciate this question. Let's see here. Yeah, you go through different seasons of life. So I'm no longer training as a high school or college athlete. Like post college, I was doing some long distance running, and then now I'm like a mom of a 2 and 4-year-old, and
You
so
have so much free time. Let me
yeah,
tell you, me too.
yeah, and I would say like it looks different, but my energy levels, my fitness level, my strength, that for me has never changed as far as the importance of it is to me. And so wanting to keep up, you hear it all the time. I want to keep up with my kids, my grandkids, and like, that's sort of the season of life I'm in now. And so, you want to be a great role model for them. And so it's like, you're just passing that along. And so, yeah, it's a huge like priority for me, a value of mine. So I just want that to continue for generations, of course. Yeah.
So if somebody is interested in finding you, working with you, where might they find you?
Yeah, so if you are on Instagram, you can find me. My handle is at dietitian for pilots. Another way that you have some notes at the bottom of the podcast.
Show notes. Yep. Check out the show notes.
The show notes, and what that can do for you is provide a complimentary 10 to 15 minute nutrition clarity call. So really to see like if you are looking for some additional support, see if I can help, see if we would be a good fit, and kind of go from there. It's completely confidential and no referral necessary.
Awesome. And for you in general to work with you, you don't need a referral.
No, yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks for listening to On the Ascent Health. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you found it helpful, share it with a friend and leave us a review. It helps more people discover the show. The views and opinions shared by guests on this podcast do not necessarily reflect my own or that of Ascent Health and Performance. The information provided is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Next week, we are talking to a naturopath about gut health. So, got Dr. Brianna on. I'm asking all of my questions about gut health. I've had some food sensitivity tests that had fun results, so we're talking about those and just what is gut health and how does it affect us? How can we all do a better job taking care of our gut? So I will see you at our next episode.